It starts with a simple but emotional question.
Mike, what is this?
Julie, will you marry me?
Yes. Yes. I can't believe this.
There are formalities often wrapped in tradition and ceremony.
Now repeat after me. I, Michael David Lancaster,
I, Michael David Lancaster,
take you, Julie Marie Simpson,
take you, Julie Marie Simpson,
to be my lawfully wedded wife.
to be my lawfully wedded wife.
There are friends, family, and many happy wishes.
If I could have everyone's attention. Mike, I wasn't sure this day would get here, you know? But here we are. Julie, when you and Mike met, a year ago? I knew he wasn't getting away this time. And I just wish you both the very best.
There are tears and laughter and promises for the future.
Thank you, Mom and Dad. It was all so beautiful.
And so begins a journey traveled by millions. A journey full of hopes, dreams, and expectations. As each marriage begins, it is facing a simple inevitability. It is either moving toward oneness or drifting toward isolation. The dangerous drift can begin with the adjustments of two people learning to share values, finances, and schedules.
What's for dinner?
I just got home too. I don't know.
Doesn't look like much.
Can we just go out?
We've been out like 3 times this week. We're kind of stretching the budget a little bit.
Please, I can't deal with it tonight.
Sure.
Our culture's pattern for relationships is a 50-50. You do your part, I'll do mine. Performance standard, where the giving of affection is based on merit.
Hear about Bill and Stephanie?
What?
They're breaking up.
Separated or divorced?
They're calling it quits.
Why?
Bill said she was always wanting from him, but never really giving.
Oh, Bill said that?
I know, grain of salt. Still, they couldn't make it work, so they decided to break it off before it got too complicated.
With kids?
I guess. Probably better that way. Better than being with someone who won't meet your needs, meet in the middle. That's how Bill put it. Where shall we eat?
Wherever you want. I'm not that hungry.
What do I expect from my spouse? And what do I want her to do? How do I want him to express love? What are our plans for our future family? Answering questions like these can bring oneness. Not answering them can cause difficult adjustments, leading to further isolation.
Here are your menus. Your server will be with you in a moment.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, what looks good?
Isn't that a cute little baby?
Yeah, cute.
What do you think our kids will look like?
I can't even think about that right now.
Why not?
Look at us. We've barely got ourselves figured out. You want someone else bumping around?
Oh.
Did I say something wrong?
At lunch today, I took a test.
Yeah?
I'm pregnant.
Sweetie, that's great. Really, really, that's great.
Misunderstandings, unmet expectations, and marital isolation create a poor foundation when couples face inevitable disagreements and difficulties, large or small.
We're taking a pretty big hit with daycare now with 2 kids.
Scott will be in school in the fall.
That will help a little, but there's still aftercare. You know, sometimes, especially now that we have 2, I really wish...
I know where you're going, and we've had this conversation. We can't afford for you to not work. I know you had this grand vision of being home with the kids and...
Maybe if we cut back in some areas.
Well, that's going to be in your court.
And that means?
We both know who the big spender is in the family.
You have things you spend money on too.
Like
Like going out to lunch every day, like golfing every Saturday?
Those are things I do. I spend that time either with clients from work or with my friends. What's the deal?
Well, I have friends too, and the only time I get to spend with them is when we are out shopping. And for the record, when I'm spending money, it's for this family.
The point is, we can't live the way we live and not both work. You think I don't wish you could stay home and maybe keep up with the house a little better?
I think I keep up with it pretty well considering I work all day.
Fine. I just don't get why I'm coming home after you and the kids have been gone all day and I'm still having to pick up the house.
Look, can we just not talk about this right now?
That's fine. There's really nothing to talk about anyway.
When couples begin to feel isolated from one another, extramarital affairs can occur. Sometimes these are obvious, relationships with other people or sexual fantasy. But they can also include affairs of activities, family, materialism, career.
Where are you?
Work? Why?
Have you forgotten something?
Apparently.
I thought you were coming to the recital.
Which one?
Very funny. Will you be home later?
Will you?
What's that supposed to mean?
Between your job and the kids' activities, you're never home.
Well, it wouldn't hurt you to come to some of their events.
I do. I just try to come to the ones they actually care about. I can't come to every little recital and game and overhyped grade promotion party. I have this little thing called a career and this other little thing called a life.
Oh, so we're not part of your life now.
That is not what I meant, and you know it. I have work to do, and yes, I will be late.
The continued retreat into isolation feeds a natural tendency towards selfishness. This robs the relationship of romance and sharpens our focus on mistakes, weaknesses, and failures to meet expectations.
You have no idea what I need. You don't have a clue.
What, because you have so much insight into my needs?
Why should I care? Every time I try to reach out to you, to show a little affection, you just push me away.
You call that affection?
Okay, this conversation is over.
I didn't want to have it in the first place.
You don't ever want to have these conversations.
Not with you.
Excuse me?
I don't want to have these conversations with you anymore. I am so done with this whole marriage. I need to think about myself right now, Mike. I need to think about what's good for me, and this is not good for me.
Disappointment and disapproval can lead to feelings of rejection, discouragement, bitterness, and anger. All this fuels our selfish nature's desire, a justified reason to reject our spouse.
So that's it then. That's it.
Do you really think this is what I want?
Why wouldn't I think that? Why wouldn't I? I have tried.
You've tried. You haven't...
I haven't what? I haven't what?
Never mind.
Never mind. Okay, fine. Look, I think it's pretty obvious where this is going. So here's what we'll do, okay? I will leave. All right, I will leave. We'll call lawyers, draw up papers, make it all official. Just be done with it.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Finally, you agree with me on something.
Mike.
Look, no. Look, don't, okay? I'm out of here. Yeah, I left.
Yes, he's gone. It's like I can breathe.
Sometimes things just don't work out. It's just life.
It's just life.
Where's Daddy?
He's gone on a little trip, sweetie.
Whatever.
Scott.
Doesn't Daddy like us anymore?
Sarah, it's not about you.
Then why were you guys fighting about us all the time?
Scott, not now.
When's Daddy coming home?
I don't know.
People fall out of love, you know?
It was good to start, but just didn't, you know.
It's going to be better in the long run, I think.
We had a season together, but long term,
We weren't really meant to be.
you know?
Dad, what are you doing here?
Oh, Scott, just packing some things up, son. Your mother and I arranged it so I could do this while she was gone. I didn't realize you'd be here.
So you didn't want to see me? Is that it?
No, Scott, I just didn't want to make this
What, harder than it already is?
Son,
Don't worry, Dad. It's not hard anymore. At least Sarah and I don't have to listen to you and Mom scream at each other.
Scott, that's enough.
Whatever. I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Hello?
Julie?
Mike?
Julie, I was hoping we could talk.
Look, Mike, you're the one who walked out on us.
You think I don't wish this could go differently? You think I want this to end this way? I just don't see a lot of options. Do you, really?
No.
Look, the reason I called was that Jason talked to me the other day.
And?
He invited us to this thing, this marriage thing. It's an overnight deal this weekend.
What are we supposed to do with the kids?
He said he and Christy would take them.
Do you really think it will do any good?
I don't know.
What?
I just thought maybe this mess might be worth one more shot. Will you go?
Sure. Why not?
Barbara and I are so excited you are here at the Weekend to Remember. You guys are going to have a fantastic time.
The Bible claims that marriage has its origin in the mind of God, that marriage is rooted in human biology. Well, it means if marriage actually has a nature, then we have two choices. You can either try to remake marriage to be what you want it to be, or you can take a look at the original blueprint.
But it was Adam's perspective of God that enabled him to receive Eve. Look at point 1. In this passage, God illustrates the cornerstone principle of marriage. And that is that the basis for one's reception of his mate is faith in God's integrity.
What the cross promises of marriage is fresh starts and new beginnings. Forgiveness and empowerment. We're not encased in concrete. We don't have to continue to live this way.
If you submit to the great surrender to Jesus Christ, I can promise you that your life will never be the same. Oh, there'll be trouble. There'll be difficulty. You'll still argue with your spouse. But I'm going to tell you, that person who has had and come into an encounter with Christ and has said to him, I yield to you. Let's get on with life as you intended. That person lives life in another dimension.
That weekend was, 5 years ago?
5 years.
That weekend redefined our marriage.
It finally gave us a clear picture of God's plan for marriage, of what a marriage that works really looks like.
Yes. I think one of the most important parts for me was that it held up a mirror for me to see how my actions, attitudes, selfishness were undercutting Julie and sabotaging our marriage.
It was like we were married but living all alone. And the reason we were alone, or should I say the reason I felt alone, was because I had isolated myself so much from Mike.
I think we can say we in this case, Jules. We were both in that place.
But we're not there anymore.
No, we're not. And the difference between then and now is amazing.
Our marriage is not only functioning better, but we finally have hope. Hope for the future.
Becky and I want to thank you all for coming tonight. It's hard to believe the wedding is tomorrow, but this is the rehearsal dinner, so I guess it must be. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to my parents, Mike and Julie Lancaster. Mom and Dad, 15 years ago, I didn't think I would ever want to be married. And you know it was because of you two. Forgive me, everyone, for being so blunt, but you see, my parents are cool about talking about this stuff. You gotta understand, their marriage was in the can. Then Dad left, and our stuff was getting packed up in boxes. It was over. Then something crazy happened. Dad called Mom and told her about how Mr. Peterson invited them to the Weekend to Remember. I don't know if either of them really wanted to go, but I heard Dad say that maybe their marriage was worth one more shot. I can't tell you how happy I was to hear him say that. I remember that weekend for 2 reasons. 1, Mom and Dad were together. And 2, Sarah and I got to stay at the Petersons and they fed us ice cream and let us watch movies. So thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson. Thanks for that on many levels. When the weekend was over, Dad moved back in the house, and even though they still got on each other's nerves, it was different. It was like they had both decided together that they weren't going to give up. I came to understand that it was because they not only had placed Christ as the center of their marriage that weekend, but it made him the center of their lives as well. I could look at my parents and see they were secure with each other and happy to be together. They were even helping other couples save their marriages and equipping them to build up their homes. And I realized maybe this marriage stuff wasn't so bad after all. So, to my mom and dad, thanks for stepping up to not only save your marriage, but to create a legacy for Becky and me to build on. I love you guys.
You know, I really wish Barbara and I were there with you. You guys are in for an amazing weekend. We are so excited about what you are doing and the entire home builders movement. You're the first wave of home builders, and this movement that's being created and is already growing really rapidly. In fact, in the past 15 months or so, nearly 250,000 folks have had their lives, marriages, families, and legacies touched through home builders just like you who wanted to make a difference in the lives of others. You know why? They wanted to impact you, and they wanted to host the art of marriage. Do you know how many years it took for FamilyLife when it first started to touch 250,000 people? 15 years. I'm reminded of the phrase in C.S. Lewis' book, The Chronicles of Narnia, Aslan is on the move. You guys are on the front lines of what I believe God is doing and what He wants to do, not only here in America, but around the world. Now, I know some of you are just getting started. Others of you are seasoned warriors. But I want to challenge you to believe God for even a greater impact. In fact, I'd like for each of you couples to think about setting 2 goals. First of all, I'd like you to think about the number of people you would like to impact in the next 10 years as a home builder. For some of you, that may be a couple of hundred. For others, it may be tens of thousands. Regardless, I'd like to challenge you to set a prayer goal and to begin to pray as a couple and expect God to give you ideas of how to accomplish that. But secondly, I don't want to just challenge you to fish. I want to challenge you to fish for fishermen. I want to encourage you to set a goal for unleashing a number of other home builders over the next 10 years too. Perhaps you can be used by God to recruit a dozen, maybe 50, maybe 100 or more, and ask God to use you and the work of your hands to fan the flames of this movement. I'm reminded of the statement made by A.W. Tozier. God is looking for people through whom He can do the impossible. What a pity we plan to do the things we can only do by ourselves. I hope God will use you to do something great in other people's lives. In fact, I'm reminded of Daniel chapter 12, verse 3. This is what you're all about. And those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the sky above, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. May God's favor be upon you, and may your stars shine brightly forever and ever.